I have attention to block lunch. All right, ladies and gentlemen. This area here is known as Brick Marketplace. Note the bricks, note the marketplace. This was built, as far as I can tell, somewhere around 1971. Again, this whole area was lined with some pretty seedy bars, and there was literally a bar every other door. Which is even worse than Thames Street, which at least has some restaurants and shops between it. Here it was just bar, 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 bar. And they were all filled because it was a sailing town. For nearly 200 years, this was a naval town, so, of course, the Navy finally left, I guess, apparently in the late 60s, and then they kind of redeveloped it into a tourist town. So we have this lovely brick marketplace, which is a great opportunity for me to kind of give you a ghost hunting 101 lecture here. So this is kind of a lot of information in a small period of time. The little ones might sound a little bit bored, but trust me, you're going to walk away with a lot more information. So I don't see anybody super little, so you should be good. All right, first things first. How many of you here believe in ghosts? Yay! All right, that's good. How many are lying? No, I'm kidding. How many of you do not believe in ghosts? No matter what I can show you, no matter what I can tell you, absolutely positively, you believe that there is no such thing as a ghost. 1, 2, 3, okay. Hopefully I might be able to change that. A few of you? Okay, good. I'm not here to change your mind. You have your own opinions, which is perfectly fine, and everything is subject to interpretation. It's been a science that's been around for probably about 60 or 70 years, but more frequently lately in the last 20 years has really come to age with technology, where they're starting to find out more and more plausible explanations for a lot of ghost sightings. So it's okay to be a skeptic too. How many of you are on the fence? You're not quite sure? Either way. All right, good. You're the guys I'm kind of hoping to work with. The first thing you have to ask is, what is a ghost? Okay? That's pretty simple. And why aren't all people ghosts? Well, some people don't know that they've died and just stick around in this plane of existence. I like to believe it's another dimension on top of ours with a different timeline, which is a perfectly good explanation. All ghosts that you see are just concentrations of spiritual energy. Okay? They manifest themselves by sucking out the air in the environment or the magnetism in the environment so they can show themselves to you. Say, hey, how come you don't see me? Because I see you. If they're intelligent, or if their residual is just time going over and over and over again. I'll explain that in a minute. So, again, spiritual energy. Spiritual energy cannot hurt you. So the ghosts and the stories that we're telling you about tonight, none of you are going to get touched, hurt, or anything like that. Nobody's going to jump out at you, at least nothing from this group. If it's someone jumps out at you, it's probably a heckler, and I'll tell you a little bit later how to deal with that. Okay? So, the next question is, what kind of hauntings are there? Okay? The most common is called a residual haunting. A residual haunting is like a record player playing itself over and over and over again. More like a DVD though, because it can also have images, you can smell things, you can hear things that just happen to replay themselves throughout history. Maybe the same time every year, maybe the same time every day. And in a lot of cases, a lot of the really old homes have these residual hauntings. This is quite common. And in a city as big as ours, and as old as ours, there's hundreds of residual hauntings throughout town. The second type is a little bit more rare. Those are called intelligent hauntings. These are things that know you're there and can interact with you. They might leave a voice on a recording. They might be able to turn a flashlight on or off. They might move an object for you. And at that point, once you have an experience like that, then you go, what the heck was that? And your life has changed forever. That's how most ghost hunters get involved in this science in the first place. They desperately want to find out what it was they encountered. Intelligent hauntings are not all that common. They exist, but they are not all that common. The third type of haunting is called a poltergeist haunting. For those of you old enough to remember the film, we're not talking Carol Ann on a TV set here. What we're talking about is a spirit that attaches itself to an object or to a person. Yes, an object or a person. Very common here in Newport because of the mansions on Bellevue Avenue. A lot of really rich people collect a lot of really impressive things from all over the world, having no idea where those impressive things came from or what their history was. They simply bought it because it looked pretty. Well, perhaps maybe that was the ancient burial urn of some Mongolian king 2,000 years ago. Or maybe perhaps it was a suit of armor that was used in battle in the 14th century to a particularly evil knight. You have absolutely no idea what the history of those objects are, and there might be something attached to it. Remove the object, remove the haunting. This is a perfect example of what happened over at Belcourt Castle. Belcourt Castle used to be one of the Newport mansions until it was privately sold. Belcourt Castle was known for years as being the most haunted place in Newport. Lots and lots of stories of night watchmen, residents, tour guides, everybody getting haunted by things at Belcourt Castle. The new owners bought the property, Alex Anani and the company, bought the property to make it into a wedding venue, did a whole bunch of interior renovations, but to do that they had to remove the artifacts. When they removed the artifacts, the stories went away. No more hauntings. Cut and dry, very simple. All of a sudden, the restoration is complete. They move the stuff back in the house. Ooh, guess what? Stuff happens again. It's very simple to be able to do. So it's an object in there, or object or two, or three, or four that might be haunted. So, just a little bit of a background information on what a poltergeist is. It's very common, happens quite a bit, especially here in Newport with all the mansions and all the antiques around. The next question is, what kind of ghosts might we see? This is my favorite part. To try to explain this stuff, people are like, I don't know. This is a picture that was taken, and I'll allow it to circulate it so you'll be able to see it. This was taken by a professional photographer on one of our tours, and shows a perfect example of two of the types of ghosts we might most commonly see tonight. The first one up here is called an orb. 90% of orb photos that I see, I can easily debunk. If it's a different color, I'm more likely to say, okay, that might be an orb. Lately, we've been given a lot of blue orbs, blue and green. And if you look very carefully, there's really no blue or green in the environment that we're walking around tonight. So it's pretty easy if you see a spherical object in your picture that might be blue or green, it might be easy to look at and say that that's probably an orb. The other one here is called a mist. A mist is just kind of generates itself out of nowhere, trying to manifest itself. It looks a little bit like fog. It passes around. That type of a mist is also very uncommon, but it's something that we might see. I've gotten a lot of pictures lately of small fuzzy mists. I've also seen pictures lately of what's called spirit trails. These are little lines or little squiggly lines that tend to move in the picture that we didn't necessarily see with our naked eye. And then the third one is the full torso apparition. Really, really rare to actually see a full-figured ghost. Sometimes they have a face, sometimes they don't. What we get on this tour a lot are faces. We get a lot of faces on this tour. And I think you'll see a little bit later, especially at Trinity Church, you'll start getting a lot of faces. Sometimes it can be a dark shadow of a figure. Sometimes it can be only from the waist up. This is usually referred to as a full torso apparition. In other words, the holy grail of ghost hunting photos. Very hard to find. What's that? The full torso apparition is the holy grail. If you can get a full-size ghost, photograph them, I'm impressed. It's very rare. It's about 1 in 3 million cases. So as a result, very, very rare. The next question is, why do things show up when pictures don't see the naked eye? We're lucky, very, very lucky right now to be in a technological era where the digital camera has taken away from the photo camera. In the earlier days of ghost hunting, people used to take photographic evidence with a photo camera. But there was a problem with that. You'd have to develop those photos. And sometimes in the developing process, you could make a ghost appear. Double exposures, developing chemical issues. Almost all the ghost photos I've seen from the 1800s and early 1900s were photographic trickery done by developing and by exposing the film differently. Okay? So film, not necessarily reliable. What's great about digital cameras and the phones that you guys have carrying with you and those lenses is that they're video cameras. They capture a certain number of frames, and they capture them at a speed faster than your eye can catch. Which is why, when you take a still frame of that video, you suddenly see things you would not normally have noticed with your naked eye because you weren't paying attention. I'm sure if we all sat there intently studying something for several hours, we'd probably see something. Whereas our video cameras can do that for us, and it's a really good tool. There are other tools. Some of you guys watch all those ghost hunting shows on TV? Yeah. Like Ghost Hunters? Yes? All right, how many people do watch those shows? Cool. Great. Ghost Hunters originates in Warwick, Rhode Island, just a few short miles from here, over the bridge and a little bit further north. Jason and Grant founded it about 25 years ago on similar experiences, want to find out what they were, and they've become the experts on kind of the forefront of their field. And a lot of the techniques that are used by modern ghost hunters today have been essentially developed by that, and some of the technologies as well. Now, watching some of those shows, what are some other tools that you might think a ghost hunter would use to try to find a ghost? Come on, I know you think of something. Audio. Audio, sure. Yeah, sometimes taking recordings and hearing something on playback later, those are called EVPs, electronic voice phenomena. We unfortunately are in a giant city, so as a large group like this in a giant city, EVPs are not very reliable for our intent purposes. Because, well, it's a city, and what we might think is a ghost is probably just a drunk guy 3 blocks over. Because sound travels very quickly and very easily. Some other technology that we might use? Yes. Infrared, very nice. Well, we are a low-budget operation. I've asked for infrared many, many times. I'm not going to get it. So that being said, in our controlled investigations, where we actually know that we've locked ourselves in and we are the only investigators on site, it's a great tool. Unfortunately, not very practical, again, in the city environment. You need hundreds of hours of training to truly interpret what you see in infrared, but it is a very helpful tool. Can anybody name a third? I can give you a hint. Absolutely. A temperature device. This is a digital thermometer. Little kids call this the ray gun. Why? Because I can do that. It's a laser. Wherever I point the laser will give me an accurate temperature of the environment around me. And what I'm going to do is take it from about 15 different points here, and I can get an idea of what my temperature is outside. We're between 73 and 75 degrees. If I suddenly point this at a particular item or a particular area, and I see a temperature difference of between 10 and 20 degrees, it's a very good indication that something might be trying to make itself known to us. We have a couple spots on this tour where the temperature difference varies considerably with no plausible explanation. And then when people start taking photos of it, we get everything from orbs to spirit trails to mists. So that is a very good indication, corroborating evidence that perhaps something is trying to make itself known. Okay? So we're going to use this a few times on our investigation. So far so good. Everybody's on the same page, right? Thank you. Did I lose anybody? Okay, what? Oh, please. There you go.
Question about the orbs?
Yes.
So are you saying the colored orbs are probably spirits, but the white ones are not?
95% of the time, 90 to 95% of the time, everybody gets really excited that they caught an orb. It depends on the angle of the photo. I'm going to train you guys to take 3 photos at a time. Always take 3. That way I can see the one before and the one after it. If you get an orb in all 3 photos, chances are it's not an orb. They only show up quickly, very quickly. And a lot of times it gives me an idea of where actual reflections come from. So, before we go any further on our tour, those of you that do have smartphones with you, make sure you keep them handy, but please put them on vibrate. Ghosts do not like modern electronic noise. They tend to disappear, and they're not like performing animals. I can't just suddenly go, okay, ghost, show me something, because it's not always going to happen. It's not supposed to. They're extremely random. You never know when you're going to get something. So that way, if you do have a phone, please put it on vibrate. But you will be using them, because it's going to be very important to take those photos. Good now? Perfect. See? Orb, mist. Why do I like this? It's a white orb. I can tell you because I happen to know that the area that this was taken is mostly orange light. What I have is a solid spherical white object over in the corner with no discernible angle of reflection. This is important. You have to look at the photos very carefully and assume the direction of travel. If I see an orb in an upper right-hand corner and it's right underneath one of these lights, I'm probably going to discredit it pretty quickly. Or sometimes, especially in the middle of the summer, it's as simple as a bug. A lot of video footage of orbs, most of the time, is a reflection off of the lens of an infrared camera, and it usually ends up being a bug or something like that. So, video camera, video technology, very tricky. However, a lot of the ones I've been getting lately are blue in color, and I cannot tell you why that is. So that's usually a very good indication you have caught an legitimate orb. So, before we leave this space, I have one more thing that I need to teach you guys. Now, we can do this if we want to, or we can totally blow it off, but like I told you, we do have quite a few hecklers, and they're not pleasant. Usually, most of the time, if we're walking by, we get the typical, ooh. Sometimes, somebody gets really creative and goes, boo. Now, we can choose to let them get away with it, or we can fight back. Will we like to fight back?
I'll jump them.
Alright, nice. Alright, everybody grab some sticks. Alright. No, we do something a little bit worse than that. We doom them. And most of the time they don't know exactly what to do because they've suddenly been doomed. So what we usually do is I will appoint a doom master whose job, unless I get a volunteer. I think he wants to be the doom master.
Yeah.
All in favor of making him the doom master?
Aye.
What is your name?
My name is Rob.
Rob is our doom master for the evening. Thank you very much, Rob. Your job is to listen up for anybody that might be a heckler. Now remember, just talking loudly or being stupid does not make them hecklers. Specifically, we're looking for the people who go ooh or boo, or like I got the other night, ghosts aren't real. So that was kind of creative because that would make me laugh for a second. So what you do is whenever that happens in a loud voice, you just have to say 1, 2, 3, so we can all hear it, and then we point at them and go, "You are doomed." Most of them have. That's it. We do them again. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna doom a tree. Okay, we're gonna for practice. We're gonna doom a tree. Okay, easy, right? Okay, see that tree right there? The one right over there. The one next to yes, this one right here that I'm shining my laser on right now. This one right here, okay? Because I've been dooming these 2 trees way too much. They're even losing their bark. So Okay, so pretend they're heckling and you are to go 1, 2, 3, and everybody goes, you are doomed. So far, so good? Yes?
Yes.
It's a really big group, so we should scare the hell out of everybody. Go ahead.
1, 2, 3.
You are doomed!
But I know we can do better than that. We have 50 people here. We should be able to make a much louder commotion. So, that being said, let's do it one more time.
Let's try it on something real.
No, they haven't heckled us yet. It's bad for business. They might come tomorrow night. It's gonna be nice. Alright, one more time. We're gonna doom the tree. We're gonna doom the tree. Ready, Rob?
You are doomed.
Your job is to say 1, 2, 3. How soon we forget.
One time.
Alright, I'll give him a do-over. In golf, they call it 1,
Find somebody who has
2, 3.
You are doomed!
excellent. That's how I want it done. Alright, ladies and gentlemen. Nice round of applause, Rob. Your job is to pay attention this evening. I'm going to grab my lantern and we will proceed to our next stop, which is